You're young. You don't understand how the world works.
Yeah, but I understand that selling weapons to criminals is wrong.
Okay, so what do you do?
Theft, extortion, breaking and entering.
Better be worth it. So, like, when do we get paid?
She is evil.
I canvassed a few people who get these things watched far faster than I do, and I asked them if Ironheart gets any better. I was told it's probably the worst thing Marvel has done since She-Hulk, sorry Agatha, and Loki Season 2, and Echo, and Daredevil Born Again, and Secret Invasion, and Ant-Man 3, and the Marvels. The competition's stiff, and you were apparently just a little bit too good for it. Previously on Black Woman, Riri Williams, who is a genius and better than Tony Stark, spent most of an episode bitching about systemic inequality preventing her from realizing her dreams. Despite being fully funded through MIT, she frequently broke the law because she didn't have enough money, and then she got expelled. She stole the suit that MIT let her build with all the money she wasn't given, and flew back to Chicago, where she fucked around for a bit while the show introduced us to a small army's worth of people, some of whom may be characters, none of whom are yet. She crossed paths with the Hood, leader of the gang we shall euphemistically call Urban Robin Hoods, which is their word, not mine, for diverse people who steal things. We are once again in the position where pointing out what the show has done is evidence of your racism, somehow. The Hood recruited Riri to go on a series of 3 missions. Riri said she wouldn't if it involved hurting people, but the Hood said, nah, bitch, that shit be crazy. We just gonna do some robbery and fraud and extortion. They are victimless crimes. Look, here's some money. And at the sight of the Benjamins, Riri signed up. Riri occasionally had flashback episodes to tell us that her dad and her sister are dead and she cares about one of them at least. So when she went to sleep while uploading her mega genius brain onto her laptop, it turned her sister, whose name is Natalie, into an AI assistant complete with holographic projection. Tiredness kills, kids, except where it brings people back from the dead. And that is where we join her at the beginning of episode 2, trying to figure out just what the fuck all that was about and why so much money was spent on making something so very broken. Hit the title slate, Alfred, you butler.
Very well, son.
Riri begins with the gut reaction most of us had watching that first episode.
No, you're not real.
A potentially interesting concept presents itself. A holographic AI recreation of a dead sister newly birthed unto the world. This is shocking for Riri, of course, but it must surely be shocking for Natalie as well. You could do some really interesting things with an AI with personhood, with partial memory of its physical progenitor, trying to come to terms with what it now is.
If I wasn't real, could I do this? Okay. Well, what is real?
I mean, I guess, it could still be interesting.
You got to get out of here. I do not need my mom to see you.
But these reactions suggest that the show does not see this concept as interesting. It's less forgivable from Riri, if anything, because we haven't established Natalie's true nature yet. We don't know what her capacity is, what awareness she has. She might just be one of those very rare chatbots that's not designed to make you want to fuck it. But Riri? You've just somehow, as if by magic, rebirthed your dead sister. It calls for some shock and no small amount of awe. This isn't your internet search history, darling. This is potentially the ability to bring dead people back to life. My first thought would be, what are you? What is this? Not, oh golly gosh, we cannot let mother see you. That's how they talk. Much as with episode 1, not even the most basic rules of writing are in play, so we move straight from quick, we have to hide you before mother walks in, to well, just not really, we're not doing that anymore. Riri yanks her giant suit into her bedroom. Pretty sure that's gonna leave some nasty scratch marks on the floor, love. And the mother threat disappears, so we can get back to handling the what are you question poorly. Could have just skipped the whole mother thing, saved yourself some time, not broken the scene up, and done a better job. It's really not hard. Riri asks,
One ugly motherfucker.
Nope, sorry, wrong line. Riri asks,
What the hell are you?
and Natalie gives us by far the least interesting of all possible answers.
I'm just a three-dimensional image shaped by light beams projecting from that broken chest plate, so...
We knew that already. Riri knows that already. It's like meeting an alien for the first time and asking, what are you? And the alien saying, well, I'm green. God damn it, every line of dialogue in this show cranks up the opportunity cost. Natalie says, you can just call me Natalie, but Riri says, nah, I ain't calling you dat.
You could call me neuro-autonomous technical assistant and laboratory intelligence entity instead, but Natalie just kind of rolls off the tongue a little better.
Yeah, sure, I mean, she could, but that's not actually your name either, is it? You just made up an acronym that spells Natalie. Riri might change the acronym. She might want something else. Maybe she wants the acronym to be contrivance. Curiously or not, this is very antagonistic, not completely enthused. And in any case, I really don't think the noun question is the most pressing question we have to answer.
Call yourself whatever you want. It's not like you're gonna be around much longer anyway.
Far too much weight is being placed on the trauma flashbacks from episode 1 to explain Riri's total lack of curiosity about this. You don't create an emergent AI in the shape of your dead sister best friend thing in your sleep and immediately switch it off because you don't like the way it looks, because it brings back bad memories. Once again, Riri's stated intelligence does not match Riri's demonstrated intelligence. She is the epitome of a smart person written by a moron. She should hang out with Admiral Thrawn, they would get on. Riri orders Natalie to run diagnostics and Natalie gives her sass.
Run diagnostics now.
See, I just don't understand why you want to erase me when I'm literally perfection.
This should also make Riri much more interested than she is, since not only has she dreamed an AI assistant into being, she seems to have created a fully untethered emergent AI that doesn't follow orders. She's basically created vision, minus the mind, and also the stone.
My goal was to recreate a very sophisticated Wakandan AI called Rio. But somehow, I'm looking at a hologram of my dead best friend instead.
Thank you for the exposition. Good to know the famously open and egalitarian Wakandans are totally fine with you recreating their most valuable assets in your bedroom, knowing that this is the sort of thing you were capable of doing. I love having new reasons to hate the Wakandans. I'm told it's because I'm a white supremacist. Then, oh dear, it seems we've run out of time. Riri gets a text from the Hood telling her that they have a team meeting and it is happening very soon. And to make matters more inconvenient, the mother remembers that she was coming to see her before that whole scene happened.
Can I talk to her? That's a diamond hard no.
She's right outside the door. I'm pretty sure she can hear you.
You got a boy in here? No, Mom. A girl?
It's just me by myself.
Either the mother is deaf or your sister is a hallucination, because that door is definitely not soundproof.
It's really nice seeing you in your room again.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, bye. What do you want?
Once again, I have to ask, why do we keep throwing characters into scenes when they have absolutely nothing to say? Riri tells Natalie she has to go to work and she orders Natalie to do nothing until she gets home. This isn't going to work because we've already established that Natalie has wants and agency and isn't inclined to follow orders. It doesn't work on a more fundamental level because Riri has to go to work so she can steal the money she needs to, create Natalie. No, see, this is the reaction she should have had in the room. You can't just switch emotions off and on like that between scenes. You can't give us a lightweight, inconsequential sass, and only then have her reliving bad memories prompted by the person with whom she was exchanging the sass. This is not how writing works. You also can't have her abandon one of the greatest accidents in the history of science because she needs to go and steal the money she needs to accomplish what she's already done in her sleep, only then to delay her exit because Xavier has shown up for another inessential chat. Her leaving Natalie was prompted by the time pressure. It was a flimsy enough pretext as it was, and now it's not even a pretext. She's sticking around for a fucking natter. There's no point playing anything from the natter because, like so many of these scenes, the time it takes is inversely proportionate to its need to exist. Xavier invites Riri to come to some samba thing later. This is to tell us that they are close and that she is maybe open to being closer, which is something we could have done in their scenes in the previous episode, but didn't, because we had too much of nothing else to do with those scenes. Stop doing this. We know what the fucking show is called. We had to click the name to watch it. We hop away to the urban Robin Hoods who are watching some sort of promotional video.
Introducing Tunnel. We transform Chicago's historic freight tunnels into a private highway, offering travelers a shorter and safer commute. The committed team at Tunnel thanks investors like you for joining our mission to bring comfort, safety, and community to the great city of Chicago.
Yeah, so this is just the Las Vegas loop, and they've gender-swapped Elon Musk. Elon Musk is actually canon in the MCU. He was in Iron Man 2, so he probably has canonical jurisdiction to sue whoever this woman is. Though, I mean, let's be honest, he'd probably just fuck her. And now, strap yourselves in, it's time for everybody's favorite part of any heist movie, the team building montage.
Then how do we get in? With a little help from some old friends.
Sitting across from me is Slug, our hacker extraordinaire from Madripoor. They were swindling high rollers on dark web gambling sites. And we offered them asylum in Chicago in exchange for their services.
I don't want to toot my own horn or anything, but I'm kind of one of Madripoor's most wanted.
You son of a bitch!
This makes a lot more sense when you consider that writing began in 2021 and two of the team previously worked on She-Hulk. Rightly or wrongly, you're much less likely to see it going forward because too often in the last 5 years, writers have indulged in egregious gender woo-woo, and the result has, also too often, been like this. The fusing of trans and ultra-camp drag in entities designed to be applauded rather than to be characters. Truly, no one can do as much damage to a minority group as a straight, white, affluent ally. Unfortunately, the motive is improper. Because the real impetus for their support is their own moral reputation, their archetypal trans or gay creation has to be flamboyantly colorful and camp for the ally to really benefit from it. There's no accolades to be had from creating diversity that nobody notices, so your odds of seeing a passing trans person or a non-insufferable gay in modern media have been near none. The Fallout show got basically nothing right, but it actually stands out for praise in this regard because it took a trans actor and said, hey, play this character, rather than taking a character and telling the actor to look, sound, and act like a twat. Anyway, that's Slug. Next up is, the Blood siblings? They were athletes, but were, and I quote, banned from every competition for unsportsmanlike conduct. So, obviously, they're good people.
You sons of bitches! What's the job?
Next is Clown.
If we don't stop them, all sentient life will be absorbed by the never-ending assembly of a meaningless crew. That's my hell, Morty. I hate heists so much, and the crew assemblies are the worst part.
Our pyrotechnic specialist.
Clown is an arsonist, also good people.
You son of a bitch!
Then finally, that leaves my cousin, John.
Oh, you're using your made-up names. I'm Spider-Man then.
John is a networker and an HR type who does a side trade in stabbings because he also is good people.
I'm also highly skilled in the art of skirma de stiletto siciliano.
Hi, I'm John. My parents didn't say I love you, so now I play with knives.
That was actually funny.
Yeah, no, it wasn't, John. Now, I brought this up in the last episode, but it is worth repeating. The writers seem to think that Riri asking no questions is what's going to give her a moral shield when all this inevitably goes tits up and people get killed. But that's really not how this works. Riri not asking questions was morally reprehensible in episode 1 when she signed up to commit major crimes for cash, and it remained so now. Her one condition at that time was, I don't want to hurt people. She has the typical Hollywood attitude in that she seems to think crimes against the rich are A, exactly that, and B, therefore victimless. But she now finds herself in a room having been introduced to, respectively, a drag queen hacker, 2 band athletes who made a living off backstreet brawls, an arsonist, and essentially a Londoner. That is a very funny joke about all the stabbings that happen in London. All but the drag act were recruited for their violence. This is quite obviously the case, and it should raise red flags. Riri is supposed to be intelligent. That money she now might not even need continues to obviate all her other concerns makes her, once again, a fucking psychopath. Riri's role in the team is as mechanic and tech specialist, the Hood explains. And since we've done one heist movie trope, the overly long and irritatingly glib character intro montage, it's time for the next one. The overly long, glib and inadequate mission briefing.
Tonight, Sheila's gonna be doing a big demo run at Tunnel, and we're gonna be interrupting that practice run by breaking the system in a way only this crew can fix.
Riri asks if they mean the tunnels built by the Elon Musk.
Wait, robbing the Sheila Zarate?
You mean Sheila? I don't care if my tunnels destroy entire communities if it makes me rich, Zarate?
You're right, screw her.
I remind you, you imbecile, that this is what you are doing. Private companies doing major infrastructure projects are a public good. It might begin as a perk for the rich, but then it achieves an economy of scale, production costs diminish, rivals emerge, competition forces prices to drop, it becomes democratized, so people like you can go and spray graffiti all over it while dodging fares. This is the story of pretty much every type of mass transit system, from the car to the railroad. These things do not spring out of the ether, they are not entitlements, and when the government tries to build them, it winds up taxing poor people and building nothing. See California's high-speed rail or the UK's HS2. You, Riri, on the other hand, are going to fuck up a major infrastructure project that probably employs an awful lot of people, and you're going to do it for nobody's financial gain but your own. And you're going to do it for no other reason than your financial gain. I do not want to be hearing about economic injustice from people who are going around committing it, you little fuckweasel. Anyway, the only thing that's missing from this scene is the generic heist movie soundtrack, so let's add one.
You'll upload a virus created by yours truly into one of Tunnel's mobile access points, allowing me to shut down the system. It's on this flash drive here. Once you plug it in, I can control the system.
As best I can work out, the plan is this. Slug creates a virus. Riri uploads the virus. Slug shuts down the tunnels. Clown blows something up to get Riri in position to upload the virus in the first place, and the Blood Sisters will beat the shit out of anybody in the control room so Slug can get in and control the system uploaded via the virus.
Look, I don't want to hurt anyone.
People are going to get hurt. You should probably be thinking about this now. You're supposed to be our protagonist. We're supposed to like you. That would be a lot easier if you weren't...
So, like, when do we get paid?
If you weren't a fucking psycho bitch from hell. God damn it, Riri, you suck. Riri tells them that the suit is working and it will be ready. Then she goes home and no, the suit is not working and it will not be ready.
Can't you build something? Do not sneak up on me like that. Okay, you just saw your face.
And stop messing around and pull up Stuart Clark's contact.
Why is this still your reaction? You reanimated your dead sister in an AI. No, don't call fucking Stuart. Figure this shit out first, for fuck's sake.
This man sent me straight to voicemail.
Good. Dead sister in an AI. Let's talk about that instead.
Probably because you stole his job. Salty ass.
Wait, how do you know that? If I were Riri, I would be very concerned that you know, because you weren't there and it implies your AI is in everything. Probably the best, least broken case scenario is that the writers just forgot that Natalie wasn't in that scene, so she knows this because it's convenient for them. Because, otherwise I'd be looking for a way to switch her off permanently.
If only you had a valiant AI who could brave the dark corners of the internet and locate everything you need.
You already did that, didn't you?
I mean, maybe.
Ultron, she's just a sassy Ultron. Kill her before she tries to wipe out humanity. And I know, I keep harping on about this, but fuck me, this should be a huge development. This is literally Riri's A-plot motive. This was why she signed up with the Urban Robin Hoods in the first place. But now she has her AI. It can do everything. It can infect the entire internet, and she's just not bothered. God, Natalie manages to locate Stuart through a list of bank transactions. She can access bank records. The world is fucked. Riri could probably just ask her to transfer the entire balance of Goldman Sachs into her account, and she could do it. With this tech, darling, you don't need to go around with a bunch of low-rent criminals. You could own the fucking world.
Yes, okay, besties, breaking the rules. Oh, I remember we used to sing "03 Bonnie and Clyde" in your dad's car, and you always Jay-Z and I was Beyonce.
How do you know that?
Oh, fucking finally, a relevant question. I wonder what tremendously enlightening answer we'll get.
Never mind. Doesn't matter. You're not coming.
I give up with this plot point. We're just rationing information. Riri doesn't ask any of the questions she should be asking because it isn't time for her to hear the answers yet. So the writers make their insufferable super genius into a Mongol.
And so you see, children, Genghis Khan was a Mongol, not to be confused with a Mongoloid, like the actor Nicolas Cage.
Riri decides that for safety, she will tether Natalie to her laptop so that she can't do any damage. That'd be the laptop with access to the internet, meaning that Natalie can do all of the damage. Natalie does point out that Riri will struggle to lug her suit all the way over to fucking Edmonton or wherever it is she's going to get more parts to fix it. And for reasons of cast bloat, that means we are reintroduced to Child. Child is selling stuff out of the cart he had in the last episode, and Riri offers to lease it from him.
Make it 40, you gotta do. Blame inflation.
Who caused the inflation, kid? I said, who caused the inflation, kid? Oh, well, never mind. His job's done. That's 2 for 2 on child appearances. He is the cart child. He doesn't really exist as a character. He simply doles out plot useful carts when Riri needs to move her suit around. Fuck it, it's a mechanic of a kind. Riri lugs her suit onto a train and then steals some sleeping sportsman's flag to cover it, even though people have already seen it, but never mind, stealing makes everything better. And then she arrives in what looks to be an affluent white neighborhood, which means the show will probably portray it with the moral character of Mordor upon Auschwitz.
Heather?
Hey, neighbor.
Hello. Think you could stop letting your dog poop on my lawn?
Oh, sorry, Joe, but the Hubs and I just got our yard done, and well, I don't want little Lucky contaminating my black-eyed Susans.
Just so we're clear, there are some pretty innocuous jokes I am not making in this video, because convention has decreed that innocuous jokes in one direction are hate speech. But I will invoke the use mentioned distinction and point out that this woman is the white person equivalent of portraying a black person eating watermelon and fried chicken. I get that polite society has internalized the whole power plus privilege formulation when it comes to deciding what racism is, but I must insist that that is and has always been shielding entire groups from criticism, stereotypes, and dirty jokes confers upon them an immense amount of power and privilege backed up by law, and so it must logically, in the end, result in acceptable racism against those same groups. And while I know the power plus privilege people think logic is itself a racist white construction that should be disapplied, the world nonetheless runs on it. You probably ought to drop the bullshit double standards before you create an angry white identitarian group who'll get so sick of them that they will lash out indiscriminately. Ironheart won't be the trigger for this because most people watching this show will be YouTube reviewers, but it is a pretty good example of a festering problem that'll cause an immense amount of harm if we don't return to the good old-fashioned liberal principle of being able to tell all the jokes about fucking everyone. Anyway, look, Han Solo's in the show.
Let's understand, maybe you could take her to the park to do her business then?
Gosh, Joe, I would, but the grass over there's just so dry, and well, Lucky can't go on dry grass.
I promise you we will get to Han Solo just as soon as this stereotype gets fucked back to Fuckville.
How about you just pick up after her then? Does that work?
All out of poop bags, Joe.
Go away!
The epitome of whiteness finally walks off, and Riri, not being white, does her first good deed of the entire show. She picks up some persimmons that fall out of Han Solo's bag. He was going to use them to make jam. Fucking crazy white people magic, am I right? I say it's a good deed, but Riri is only doing this because she wants something from him, so from a certain point of view, no, she is still a bitch.
What you got there, Riri?
Selling chocolate bars for my troupe.
Technically, you need a permit for that, but I'm willing to look the other way for an underprivileged youth.
Hello, everyone. This week I received a question about what it means to be gay.
Excuse me while I find my sunglasses. The whiteness is just blinding.
How much for a bar?
One repulsor transmitter, micro brain machine interface system, and nanosorbethane.
Han Solo attempts to deny all knowledge of whatever the fuck Riri wants for her suit, but he mentions the word black market, and this gives Riri all the leverage she needs to blackmail him like the hero she is.
If you don't work with me here, FBI gets a call from a concerned neighbor, and you rot in federal prison.
Continuing this show's theme of rampant inefficiency, Han Solo gives in and says he'll take her to the stuff, but the stuff isn't here. It's somewhere else. Meaning we had a whole scene establishing that Han Solo lived here. We had a scene to show how Riri lugged the suit all the way here. We had a train scene where she stole a flag to cover the suit on the way here. We had an excruciatingly long white people sequence to establish that here is basically hell, and now we're leaving here because we need to be somewhere else. Why? What was the point? The only thing we learn about Han Solo is he is what this show considers to be very, very, very white. And we could have established this pretty much anywhere else. Oh, fuck, Sassy Ultron's in the 5G network. It's gone too far, we're all gonna die. The car scene continues to drive home the fact that Han Solo is impeccably white.
Are you crying?
Sorry.
And that Riri is impeccably not white.
Joe, you gotta demand respect.
She tells Han Solo that he shouldn't let people push him around unless they're her because she's allowed to do it, because she has her menacing iron suit. Clearly, this is a person we should be rooting for. Clearly, this is a person who should get the power she thinks she deserves. Meanwhile, back in the hood, Natalie is doing very sinister things on the laptop, scanning through audio recordings of their past conversations, looking for photos of herself, and finally deciding that it's time to break through the firewalls and untether herself. This is fucking terrifying, but then it should have been fucking terrifying pretty much from the word go, and the only reason Natalie is choosing now to break out and start self-replicating all over the house is that now is the time the script says she should do that. She could have done it as soon as Riri tethered her to the laptop, but she didn't, because the script said that wasn't the time for her to do that, and this is how writing works.
Get behind me, Satan.
Is that any way to speak to your dead daughter / your daughter's dead best friend who is functionally kind of a surrogate daughter either way?
Relax. Miss Ronnie, I'm not a ghost. I'm just an AI coming from that little projector you got over there.
Oh, word?
Word.
Riri made you? Well, Ashe then.
Ashe.
So this is how Liberty dies, with thunderous stupidity. Back in the car, Riri and Han Solo sing along to the music the white man stole.
We're almost here.
And it's genuinely very sad to think that this is the closest the show has come to character work. The here to which they've come is Han Solo's personal, biometrically protected grain silo storage unit for illegal weapons and bionic tech. Han Solo attempts to explain that A, he keeps and makes this stuff to feel closer to his engineer father. B, that his father believed technology was about helping people, and so C, that's what he believes as well. You might be thinking, that's funny, that's basically Riri's backstory too, right? But if that is what you're thinking, you are thinking one step ahead, because you should first be thinking, he's talking about his father like we should know who his father is, but I don't think the father has been mentioned before. I wonder what his surname is. Oh, fuck off, his dad's Jeff Bridges. Yep, this is the son of Obadiah Stane. I liked Obadiah right up until the very end of the first Iron Man movie. It's a shame they decided to treat him as a one-and-done villain. It's also a little bit odd that he should never have mentioned his son, given how much of Tony's psyche in that movie relies upon the death of his own father. I wonder what travesties will be visited upon poor Obadiah in this show.
Organ replacements, prosthetic implants, I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg.
No, that sounds sus.
Well, if not to help people, why would you build the suit?
Because I could.
Wait, does that mean you were lying in episode 1?
My suits would shorten the response time of first responders, firefighters, search and rescue teams, etc.
Has she become so consumed by her desire for money and respect that she can't even bother to pretend at a noble motive anymore? Or did the writers just forget that they gave her one of those? Or is she just withholding information because it's the only way the writers know how to string their threadbare plot along?
That's not an answer. Look, you're not going to tell anyone where you got all this, right?
I'm no snitch.
Yeah, I'ma go with the latter. You always know when writers are straining to drag out story beats. They present glaring questions and have characters glaringly neither ask nor answer them.
Where'd you get that?
A good question. For another time.
It's a pretty effective trick. We've been waiting on the answer to that question for a fucking decade. Back in Chicago, Mother and Natalie are having a heart-to-heart. Mother has pretty much instantly accepted that Natalie is what Natalie is, so we're not going to discuss any of the actually interesting implications of reviving dead people as AI. No, they're just gonna bond over their mutual inability to get close to Riri. And then Mother gives Natalie some advice that an AI is likely to misinterpret in a way that results in several billion deaths.
Welcome to Riri's life. The only way to be in it is to force your way through.
What could possibly go wrong? Speaking of problematic bonding, a suspicious amount of racial harmony has broken out between Riri and Han Solo, as Riri gives Han Solo a glimpse of her genius.
What would you say if someone were to hypothetically create AI using brain scanning technology on themselves?
I would say the amount of energy and power it takes to scan a human brain would hypothetically turn it to goop, and only an idiot with a death wish would try that.
This is probably not a problem you want to be raising, because any discussion of how Riri scanned her entire brain in 4 hours while asleep with just a laptop and a couple of electrodes attached to a galactic-sized noggin, well, that can only conclude that this is all weapons-grade horseshit.
But if someone did create AI using brain scanning technology successfully, think it'd be any good?
By good, you mean ethical. It would depend on if the creator were ethical.
Okay.
Natalie's ethics depend on whether her creator, Riri, is ethical. My God, we're all gonna die. Riri's closest competitor in the race for least ethical Marvel character is fucking Carol, and that's including Thanos. And just why in the risen fuck have you waited until you met a random white man hundreds of miles away to first consider these questions? You know you've made this thing. You know it's connected to the internet and the phone networks. You know it doesn't follow orders. You know it can do highly illegal things, and it seems to have no constraints. If you have ethical concerns, you should have had those ethical concerns before you left it unsupervised at home. But I'm surprised to learn that you do have ethical concerns, given you left it unsupervised at home because you were running late for your mission to crash public transport and steal loads of money.
What is this?
It's an MRF.
I used to drink those in college.
That's an AMF. A MRF is a magnetic repulsion field.
Yeah, Han Solo's job is a tech ethicist, and they're in his private tech storage bunker with tech that he's collected. But no, he doesn't know anything about tech. Thank goodness Riri's here to tell him what's what.
Where's your arc reactor? That's like...
You know, they don't exactly hand those out.
In a cave! With a box of scraps!
Mine is solar and wind powered.
She is so gay!
Solar and wind powered. What? Solar and wind powered?
Yeah. Hippies all around me. Mommy, hippies.
You can't run serious technology on fucking solar and wind. Not unless you're willing to turn entire countries into giant turbines through the awesome power of African slave labor. I'm not seeing any solar panels or wind turbines on that suit of yours, Riri. There's a lot of hot air coming out of your spewing mouth every scene, but I don't know if even that's enough to run a reactor.
I gotta go.
If it's solar and wind powered, how was it charging when you've spent all day transporting it in pieces under a stolen sports flag? That night, the urban Robin Hoods commenced their first terrorist attack.
Look, I don't want to hurt anyone. Look, I don't want to hurt anyone. Look, I don't want to hurt anyone. So, like, when do we get paid?
While this victimless crime unfolds, Riri in her Ironheart suit has infiltrated the patent-violating Hyperloop system. But oh dear, Natalie chooses this moment to get involved, and she distracts Riri, who drops something important.
Wait a minute. I lost comms with Riri. Roll call. You there? Hello?
You know, for a they-them who's there to be flamboyant and excessive, you sure do have all the acting chops of a call center employee. I'm sure it would be phobic to suggest that Slug got the job because of their pronouns and their nails and their stupid hair, but that is definitely what happened. Natalie's sudden appearance made Riri drop the hard drive with the virus on it, but not to worry because Natalie is terrifying.
I can fix it. How? There's another way to shut down the system. How?
Stop looting the target, Natalie. I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that. They concoct a new plan on the fly. Once again, there is a ticking clock. They have to do it soon, otherwise Riri will get crushed in the Hyperloop. And once again, all the tension is sucked out of the scene because the dialogue is incessant and it is nothing but sass, with an emphasis on ass.
You about to get crushed like a pop can.
Yo, Slug!
Ooh, girl. We thought she was dead. Where's the drive?
About that, it fell. New plan. When I give you the signal, you're gonna have about 2.5 seconds to switch the system over while it reboots. I'm gonna trigger an emergency override.
I don't do improv, kid.
Too late.
Ew, it looks like Thing.
Yeah, well, Thing better work, otherwise I'm gonna end up in jail.
Well, the weight of the lift will probably kill you before that ever happens.
What happened to I got you, Bree?
Well, I do got you, but you're moving kind of slow. A little to the left.
I don't need you backseat driving.
Say, remember when Riri said Slug had just 2.5 seconds to pray the gay away or whatever it was he was going to do? Well...
Slug, it's down. Quickly.
I'm pretty sure that was longer than 2.5 seconds. Anyway, all that faffing about caused the tunnels to go into lockdown, so the terrorist urban Robin Hoods are back on mission. Elon Musk asks nobody in particular.
What's going on?
And then the Hood magically appears in the seat beside her.
This contract states that you will agree to put me and my associates on Tunnel's payroll. 6-figure salaries, benefits, free access to the highway, of course, and equity in the company as an anonymous co-owner. So, ready to sign?
Sir, this is a private company. Corruption like that won't go undetected. This is not an NGO. That document would have to go to shareholders. Lawyers would have to look at it. Anyone with a controlling stake could revoke it at any moment. Elon Musk could stall until somebody notices that the tunnel is in lockdown, that the CEO is missing, and that they've lost contact with their control room, at which point someone would probably go to investigate and the ruse would be up, because all of the urban Robin Hoods have revealed their faces. I also can't help but remember this line from earlier.
Me and Sheila, I don't care if my tunnels destroy entire communities if it makes me rich.
Elon Musk's crime was profiting off a massive infrastructure project that benefits the public. You are here now profiting off her profiting off a massive infrastructure project that you didn't think benefits the public. If Elon Musk was bad, by your own logic, you are worse because you are a parasite on a parasite. You are stealing from the rich to give to yourselves.
Unless you want your investors to have a front row seat to the encore.
Yeah, thereby revealing your involvement and kicking off a huge manhunt that'll make your lives impossible. This plan is just evil and it should not work.
Alright, she's signed. We can clock out.
The real heroes of Ironheart are the Securities and Exchange Commission, because they'll surely investigate this and then reveal the evil scheme. Fuck me, you horrible, horrible people have got me rooting for the government. I hate the government.
Pleasure doing business with you.
They've seen your faces, you're totally fucked. Meanwhile... someone call the police, I'm gonna commit a hate crime.
Freeze!
Oh, thank God. Look, either arrest me or arrest her. Natalie begins glitching because reasons. Natalie has control of the suit because reasons. This is what you do when you accidentally create an unpredictable AI with an unknown power set that won't follow your orders. You put it in charge of your suit. Oh boy, I wonder how she'll react now she's seen the violence she's complicit in play out right in front of her, with tragic consequences.
Good?
Yeah, I think.
Well, yeah, you know, maybe the smartest being in the universe is just a bit slow on the uptake. Perhaps she'll realize what she's done and the horrible sink in once she's had time to reflect on it.
But somebody almost died. The security guard? That was fine.
Okay, this isn't bad.
What do you know about Parker? What you know about his hood?
No, that's a bit worse. Let's have the moral debate. We can worry about where the Hood got his drip later.
Heard anything else weird about him?
One time, I saw Parker shirtless.
Fine as well. But scales everywhere.
Oh god, see what's happening here is compression. The writers have come out of the previous sequence with 2 lines of inquiry that they want Riri to pursue: the moral introspection and the strictly plot necessary questions about the Hood. This isn't ideal and we should probably have spaced the 2 out. Have Riri confront the Hood. She says, "I said I didn't want to hurt nobody and you broke your promise." Have the Hood give a slightly but not entirely compelling answer to that charge. The kind of thing that leaves Riri uncertain, with questions now about who she's really involved with. Have that lead to this line of inquiry. It doesn't change the fact that Riri should have asked these questions already, but it would still be a better way of exploring the fallout from the mission. The way it's actually presented, the mystery around the Hood quickly takes primacy, so the moral dilemma, which is more important for telling us about Riri and her relationships, well, that's basically dropped. Once again, we have to ignore it and put it aside because we aren't ready to deal with it yet.
You know, you ask a lot of questions, Riri. Sometimes it's better just to keep them to yourself, you know?
This side of things is competent enough, to be fair to the show. We do need to show Riri's growing awareness of and discomfort with the group she's fallen in with, and having her questions shut down is a good way to go about it. It works against what we're told are her character traits, her intelligence and her inquisitiveness. Unfortunately, we've been shown that she has neither of those traits, but if you pretend for a minute like the show has written the character it thinks it's written, this scene otherwise isn't terrible.
You know what? This might be the prettiest group of washed up criminals I ever saw.
Prettiest is not the word I'd have chosen, but they are very, distinctive. Which is a massive problem because a bunch of people in the control room saw their faces, and the security guard saw Riri's face and her very noticeable suit, and he saw the Hood's face. And Elon Musk saw the Hood's face, and they've just conducted a heady mix of terrorist attack and corporate espionage. The police should already be on their tail. Their faces should be plastered all over the news. If the threat of an investigation doesn't feature basically from the beginning of episode 3, then we're going to have a massive problem. Anyway, this is the Hood's character exposition scene. He says he was on his own since he was a child until John found him.
Feeling that powerless does something to you.
And the fact the show is going out of its way to stress the relationship between John and the Hood suggests that something maybe might happen there. The Hood says the team is everything, and everything anyone does for the team is something real because they are indeed a team. You might even say,
I don't have friends. I got family.
I think we're supposed to remember that Stuart, or Maverick, or whoever the fuck, seems to have disappeared, and this is supposed to play on our minds. And if that is the case, if it isn't just that the writers have forgotten about Stuart, then once again, this is a competent bit of writing in the Ironheart show. Let nobody say I am not a fair they-them.
You've lived your lives waiting to be seen, waiting to be acknowledged for your greatness.
Yep, and now you've been seen by a whole bunch of your victims, and your descriptions are probably being circulated throughout the state. Well done, that's some top criminaling right there.
But the money above us will never notice our brilliance. We force them.
You're a wizard, and Riri has an Iron Man suit and an unlimited AI. I think there are ways besides terrorism for you to get acknowledged.
And after what we pull at Tunnel, these suckers are listening. And they're terrified.
Hilarious to see these millionaire media pundits on TV clutching their pearls about someone standing a murderer when this is the United States of America, as if we don't lionize criminals, as if we don't have, we don't stand murderers of all sorts, and we give them Netflix shows.
But I don't give a shit.
But you do give a shit. You just told us you gave a shit. That's the whole point of this spiel. The Urban Robin Hoods raise a toast, but the camera makes sure to show us A, that Riri isn't quite buying into all this, and B, that the Hood has noticed that she isn't quite buying into all this. And while, yep, it's a bit fucking late for her to be developing doubts, I suppose late is very much better than never. At this juncture, Riri steps outside and summons her suit. Riri's suit now has 2 small ceiling fans and a couple of solar panel wings, which is just all sorts of cringe. It might have been less so if we'd established that these things are actually and severely insufficient to her needs. Give her suit an ever-present and frustrating power limit. Have it so that it can only operate for a very short time. Make a point of showing the power bar depleting every time she's wearing her helmet. Convey her frustration with the means available to her, and you then give the suit a development path. You'd have a pretty neat excuse to drum up some ticking clock tension in any action scene, and you'd establish that Riri is less than Tony Stark, and have this feed into her frustration with him. It offends her ego. All this could be in service of revealing this character flaw that she has to overcome. It's a really simple set of changes, but you'd probably have got a lot more audience buy-in if you'd taken this route, rather than making her an insufferable narcissist from the off and then taking her side. Natalie is no longer glitching, and now we establish that AI recreations of dead friends might somehow be susceptible to PTSD. As she explains, she saw the gun and she froze. Riri asks her what she remembers about that night, though we still haven't established how she remembers anything that is not uploaded to the internet, but
I don't know. We can come back to that later, Ree.
oh, for fuck's sake. If it's a good question for another time, you should have just raised it another time. You brought this up.
Earlier today, by the tunnel, I sensed some crazy energy radiating off Parker. I tried to analyze it, but I couldn't. I don't know what it is, but it ain't from around here.
He's a wizard. The show has already told us he's a wizard. The show didn't need to tell us that he's a wizard. We could have not had the wizard cloak reveal. We could have not seen him using his magic powers yet. But it did, and we have. The writers have chosen audience superior, the audience knowing more than the protagonist does, which is going to make it that much harder to include any mystery subplots surrounding the Hood and his true nature. If we'd seen him inexplicably show up, say in the tunnel or by the security guard, and if that's all we'd seen, this could have been an interesting thread to unspool. Hey, I don't remember him being there. How on earth did he get there? He does seem to be wearing a mysterious and familiar-looking cloak. You know, I wonder if you want the audience to be curious, you have to give us something to be curious about. Giving us the answers in advance is not a good plan.
We wake up to aliens, androids, wizards on our timeline every other day. I'm more concerned with how my AI is having panic attacks.
The mere existence of a thing doesn't have to make the thing uninteresting. If we were to prove that the galaxy is indeed full of intelligent aliens, it might still be shocking to learn that your boss is one of them. By the same token, yeah, sure, there are superheroes in this universe, but in the grand scheme of things, they are quite rare, and people probably spend most days, even most years, not encountering them. If the MCU thinks it's clever and meta to acknowledge that these things have become commonplace and mundane, then it has made a massive mistake. Our previous scene in this very episode was supposed to establish that Riri has doubts about the Hood. Learning that the Hood has some strange magical power should therefore further her curiosity about him. But instead, here, in the very next scene after she was asking questions about the Hood, her curiosity has just been switched off. Why? Well, because we need to switch it off in order to transfer her interest to Natalie, which interest in turn she switched off to go and work for the Hood in the first place. For fuck's sake, the show needs to make up its goddamn mind.
Hey, I think Parker is wrapped up in some sketchy shit.
No. Really? What gave you that idea?
I know Parker is sus, but this is an in and out job.
It isn't, though. You know it isn't. You signed up for 3 missions. You've just done one of them. You don't know what the next 2 are, and they are highly illegal with a huge amount of risk, plus a bunch of unforeseen consequences, many of which remain unforeseen because Riri is rich and apparently doesn't look more than 5 seconds into the future. For fuck's sake, her face should already be on a wanted poster. This is very much not an in and out job.
If you want to keep playing Spy Kids, you gotta have my back.
Are you saying I can stay?
Wait, what? No? What? No, this scene was supposed to be about how you have PTSD. Remember? I mean, it was like 3 sentences ago.
Damn it, I forgot about this show. I have to take you with me.
What? No, what are we? This is no time for fucking samba shows. Samba shows are very much not the priority at the moment. Your boss might be a wizard murderer. You're committing high crimes and misdemeanors, and the dead friend you dreamed into an AI has traumatic memories. I think the samba show can wait. Oh, fuck off, show.
This is dope.
I've waited many moments to hear you admit defeat, young Padawan.
Oh, my ovaries.
Listen, statistically speaking, Riri is in the demographic least likely to be turned on by a Star Wars reference. Xavier here really needs to get better riz. I'm still stunned that this is how the show's been structured. I haven't seen this much stalling since my sister took her driving test. Hello, sister. No, I know I can't talk. No, I know I don't drive yet. Yes, please do give me a lift to that wedding in August. Thank you, bye. If characters actually pursued lines of inquiry, I reckon we'd have a 10-minute show at most. It keeps doing this. Shocking development. Oh no, I'm late for other thing. Other development leads to shocking thing. Oh no, I'm late to a very important date. Now we're fucking around at a gig for no discernible purpose. This show is about as efficient as those solar panels on Riri's suit. And she's probably only put those there because there's a government subsidy. Bitch just can't help be stealing.
I listened to your mixtape.
Yeah, are you gonna ask why he put the voice of your dead bestie on that mixtape? Because that was a bit of a weird thing to do.
Sometimes I listen to it when I get the urge to talk to her.
I mean, damn, we've been in several scenes with her and I can't think why anyone would have the urge to do that. But even so, I still probably wouldn't put her voice on a mixtape and then give that to some unsuspecting person. They might think you're a necrophiliac. Anyway, now we're on the subject. Are you gonna tell him he can speak to her now? You're keeping Natalie a secret and I don't think we've really established why you're doing that yet. I keep making this point, but the level of incuriosity Riri displays toward Natalie is pretty astounding, especially from someone who's been dreaming about making this fucking thing for as long as she's been alive. Meanwhile, with the Hood, strange and sinister things are occurring. Hood hears strange and sinister whisperings, and so he takes off his shirt. This is what all doctors recommend you do. Thirst traps are the only known cure for schizophrenia.
Look at you. It's fine.
It doesn't look fine. Looks like he's contracted a little bit of the AIDS there. It's all those reused needles.
I can't keep covering this shit up for you, bro.
I said it's fine.
John says, look what it's doing to you, and the Hood replies that it's the price he has to pay after what he did to me. That pulling sensation in your cheek, that is a mystery hook. I know this was pretty much how we ended episode 1, but hey, what else have we got to do? Back in Chicago, Riri goes home to meet her mother, who really needs to start being plot relevant pretty much exactly now. Otherwise, and like so many people in this show, she is becoming an intolerable waste of time.
So when were you gonna tell me about your little friend?
Okay, maybe we're going somewhere this time.
It's like you brought back her entire soul. She has the same mannerisms, same voice, same smile.
Yeah, we do indeed seem to be going somewhere this time.
Can you make one of Gary?
Whoa, okay, hold up. I didn't think we were going there. I mean, don't get me wrong, this probably is a fitting thing to bring up at some point, but we've barely begun exploring Natalie yet because the show keeps finding less interesting things to do.
Oh, Mom. Sorry.
Why not, though? You don't actually know that. We haven't established it because you've not bothered examining how you made Natalie to begin with. All you do know is you were dreaming of her while connected to your computer, so who's to say that dreaming about your dead dad while connected to your computer wouldn't make him instead? Oh, did I say I keep saying dead dad? I believe this guy's actually her stepdad because, you know, stereotypes. Aren't they wonderful? God, fuck me, if I, as a white man, had written even a character synopsis for a black woman brought up by a single mother whose dad has disappeared, who steals things because she can't be bothered to get a job, I think, just a little part of me suspects I might be called a racist. Anyway, on the reviving deadens thing, I think this could be a really interesting line to pursue, but it's very much a second order thing. It's probably quite important that Riri is not able to dream up AIs of any dead person she happens to dream about, but we haven't yet established that. We should really get around to doing that at some point.
Honestly, I don't even know what Natalie is.
Yeah, you should probably look into that at some point too. Oh, why are we back in fucking White Mordor now? I'm sorry, what is this Jar Jar Binks level bullshit? You don't jump from the first meaningful conversation about Natalie and AI and dead relatives to stepping in dog poo? What are we doing? What tone are we striving for here? Writers, please combine your narcissism and your nymphomania and just go fuck yourself. For some reason, we have decided it is much more important to show Han Solo taking Riri's advice about standing up for himself than it is to spend any time actually fleshing out who Riri is or what she's done. So Han Solo vengefully takes some clippers and cuts the evil white stereotype's flowers. Oh, come on. That's it. That is the end of Ironheart episode 2. And the scary thing is that you could make an argument that episode 2 is kind of an improvement over episode 1. It actually has something resembling an A-plot. It didn't keep spamming new NPCs for us to not care about. But my god, I mean, the plot progression is like trying to milk a very old woman. It takes so much time and effort to get just one drop of development, and it usually ends up being fucking dust. As soon as we've got it, the show's ADHD forces it to put every single plot point on hold so it can go and do something else. The problem seems to be that they don't have enough story to tell. The show has to keep putting up obstructions and distractions and artificial barriers of blockage to stop its characters making progress, because if they were to make progress, they would reach their destination too quickly. You can write in obstructions if you have to, inquiries reaching dead ends, interrogations being interrupted, soft blockers on progress that require new skills, new information, even new people to unlock. But that is not what we've got. Rather than interrupting progression with a but, the script instead decides to write in an and then, so it can run away from things it's not ready to divulge yet. It's amateur writing, with all due respect to the amateurs. And I'm reliably informed that episode 3 is quite shockingly bad, even by the standards of this show. So I suppose we'll wait and see. I continue to make no promises about completing this show, but I'll probably be continuing it in a few days anyway. So in that case, au revoir, but not goodbye. Honestly, most gay people just look pretty normal.